Well, I came in last weekend and I signed all my stuff on Monday, so I was able to go out on Tuesday, and I was out. I think Wednesday and Thursday I went out for a couple of days. These guys have done a good job of recruiting their kids, and there wasn't anything that I was going to do other than screw it up. So I didn't see any of the commitments last week. I went and did some junior stuff, and that's about it.
When you were at Houston, had you recruited any of these guys?
Everything's done so early now. I mean, there was usually there is crossover, but there really wasn't any crossover.
Quarterbacks, obviously, you'd be working with them a lot. What do you know about them?
Well, I evaluated these guys last after their junior year. When I was at U of H, I evaluated both of them. About the time I liked Johnny Deaton and wanted to call and start recruiting him, he had already been committed here. So, and then I evaluated Nate and liked him, thought he was a really good player, and about the time I wanted to start recruiting him, he got committed here. So, didn't get a chance to recruit either one of them, but I evaluated both of them.
What do you see as their strengths?
Dual threat. They both run well. The thing about what in my history with quarterbacks and coaching quarterbacks is when I was at Tech, it was more of a pocket passer situation. When I've been at UH the last 2 years, Case Keenum was a dual threat guy. We didn't want to run him very much because we throw the ball a good bit, but the threat of being able to keep the play alive in the pocket and make things happen was something that I wasn't used to with my 8 years at Tech. So the type of kid that we're going to recruit and the type of kid that Coach Gundy recruited, which the two kids that we got committed, are both Case Keenum type kids that can keep the play alive and be able to make plays with their feet as well as their arm.
Does Seton have an edge being here?
Yeah, it takes time to learn it. I mean, the hardest position to play is offensive line, okay? But other than that, probably the hardest position to play, obviously, is a quarterback standpoint from the fact of, learning the offense and, getting enough reps to where you're comfortable making decisions. It is going to help. It is going to help him being here. There's no question.
Is that maybe one of the most misunderstood things about your offense is people look at Tech and just automatically assume that exactly the way that was? I mean, they hadn't paid attention, for instance, to what was going on down at Houston.
Yeah, it is the perception, which, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Last time I checked, when Mike was there, Coach Leach was there, they're pretty good offensively, So, it's different. There's going to be a lot of things that look the same. There's going to be a lot of things that are drastically different. Obviously the perception is just because I was with them for so long that I left and the numbers were the same or better, then all of a sudden I'm doing just the exact same thing. But you'll see some drastic differences.
Coach, I've asked you this before, but the staff that you're working with, a number of those guys, Wickline, offensive line, Meacham, a number of those guys have a lot of experience with spread, even somewhat this type version of the spread. How much does that help? Good coaches are good coaches, regardless if you've been in it or not. If you're a good coach and you can learn something, then it's going to be very beneficial. I'm fortunate to be able to have a good staff here, which I didn't have to take this job. I had a good job where I was at, but the fact that I could come to work with Coach Gundy and be in the Big 12 and have an offensive staff that I was familiar with and understood that where they had been was something that was going to happen. So good coaches are good coaches, and that room's full of good minds.
Coach, outside the quarterback, you have to have receivers that can catch the ball and make plays after. Are you happy with the guys that are on this list? Are the guys that you feel like can make plays?
Yeah, recruiting, who knows in recruiting? I'm a little more worried about what's on campus right now, which we started meeting with those guys yesterday. So I've got them to the point to where they understand how to line up a couple of different ways. But the fact I haven't been able to evaluate them other than on film from last year. I'm happy with the guys that are here, and I think they're all young. There's not a lot of guys that have a whole lot of experience. I think we'll get better and better with them. Recruiting, you make mistakes all the time. Do I think those guys can play? Yeah, I think those guys can come in and play. We're going to need them to. We're not very deep. there's not a lot of numbers at receivers. So we're going to need those guys to come in and play. Hopefully we made the right decision.
How sudden was this whole thing for you? I mean, sometimes coaching moves are in the works, and sometimes they just come out of the blue. What was it like for you, the whole process?
It was quick. It happened quick. I'd talked with Coach DeForest a couple of times, and then I talked with Gundy a couple of times, and then it was done. So this is a good place, and it's getting better and better, and it really nothing needs to be fixed. I mean, they've won 9 games the last 2 years. That's good. Now, hadn't won a championship yet, which is what we're after.
I know you know the Big 12. Just a curiosity question. Did you look at the schedule for 2010 before you took the job? Just to see what was there in the non.
Well, it really doesn't matter when you play in the South.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing the best. I mean, all 5 teams are very, very quality opponents. So whatever else is on the schedule is not as good as that, So other than maybe a couple of teams in the North, So I didn't look at it. I knew. I mean, I've been in Big 12 for 8 years. I know how it works.
Have you always kind of felt you'd get back to the Big 12 when you left Texas Tech?
Oh, I mean, you never know the road you're going down. I mean, when I left the Big 12 to go to the University of Houston, everybody thought I was sick, or my mind wasn't right or something. But it worked out good, and it's all about being happy where you're at, and being able to work with good people and being able to line up and having a chance to win. So this place is as good as any when it comes to that.
Number one thing, you kind of touched on what you look for when you evaluate a quarterback, but is there one thing more than any other that you see you're looking for right off the bat for a quarterback?
Being very cerebral. I mean, that's huge. Being very competitive is huge. The whole mechanics and how you throw it, how quick it comes out, how your feet are, that's stuff that you can work on every day, So, and understanding what we're doing and understanding what we're trying to get accomplished offensively is something that we can work every day. But having a good mind and being really competitive and having some of the intangibles that you can't really go outside and work on, that's number one. So I'm sitting down with a lot of these quarterbacks now, and I'm just trying to get a feel for kind of what their tangible situation is, So, and then from there we just start learning, and you give them reps, and you look for guys that improve.
In the limited time you've had, how do you feel Brandon Wheaton kind of fits into that mold?
I don't know. I mean, I like his attitude. He's paying attention, but it's way too early. I mean, we're going to probably have this conversation in camp sometime, So by the time I get 15 days in the spring with them and maybe 15 more practices in camp, it's a long, And just to use this as an example, I mean, when I got to U of H, Case Keenum and another kid battled for the job all spring. They battled all summer. They battled all through camp. And at some point, we had to come down and make a decision, and we made the right one. But it took 6 months before we made that decision. So I just don't know enough about him right now,
Coach, Oklahoma State's done such a good job running the football the last couple years out of the spread. Is that something you still plan on doing? And also, when fans come to Boone Pickens next year, what's the one big difference they'll notice in the offense?
Well, the offense has been good here. I mean, the offense has been real good here. And the last time I checked, Kendall Hunter was an All-American running back. So he's going to get the ball a lot. How we get it to him is just going to be depending on who we're playing. I mean, we may want to hand it to him 30 times. We may want to throw it to him a couple more times, So we need to evaluate what we got. We need to evaluate the best ways to get people the ball, in space. The last 2 years, we've had, my first year at Houston, we had a 1,000-yard rusher. Last year, we had 2 700-yard rushers. So, I expect him to get the ball a lot, and hopefully he scores a lot,